Hello, welcome everybody. I am very happy to be joined by Daniel Zeller, the publisher of this amazing new asset called Fluffy Grooming Tool, which I'm sure you've all seen because I've been talking about it for the past few months, and in the past little bit since it was released, I've been talking about even more. So Daniel, welcome to the stream.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. This is very exciting. This is actually my first stream with another publisher, and I hope to do a lot more of these. So this is very exciting. So definitely come check out Fluffy on the Asset Store. And before we get started, I also wanted to talk about the Black Friday sale. Just a real quick note on that. If you come to infinitypbr.com, we have all the Lightning Deal lineups for the Infinity PBR packs. Now these can be up to 90% off if you are there at the right time. The first 20 licenses are 90% off, so you can save like $100 and something on these bundles and money on all these. So you are my favorite people if you're watching this, and so I want you to get the deal instead of others. So definitely come check out Infinity PBR, and if you come to the site and click any of these links, they are affiliate links. So whatever you buy, Infinity PBR gets a 5% cut of anything you buy, and that's always helpful. It also does not come from the other publisher's cut. Unity pays for it, so it's a great way to just help out Infinity PBR. So today with Fluffy, we're going to be talking to Daniel about just a few minutes about Fluffy. I want to know where it came from, how he came up for all that stuff. And then he's going to show a demo of Fluffy itself with the horse Pegasus unicorn character. I saw a preview earlier and it looks gorgeous. So why don't you bring up that preview that you showed me, if you don't mind, and we can quickly talk about Fluffy and how it came to be while people look at the finished product we're going to be getting by the end of this stream.
Yep. So I'll just share my screen here. So I guess this is going to be our starting point later on, and this is what we're gonna make. So
there we go. One fluffy horse
standing on a grass field. Yeah, so there's gonna be a lot of fluffiness, I guess.
Makes sense. Cool. So while we stare at this horse, what is, like, how did Fluffy come to be? I first heard about it months and months ago. How did Fluffy come to be?
Well, it's just sort of naturally happened since I was working on a game where or a game prototype, I guess, where I needed some fur, which was going to be a children's book game about Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And then naturally for the bears, I needed some fur. And for what I wanted at the time, I didn't really find any good assets to use.
Mhm.
Uh, I was going for a sort of a card-based toon shader look at the time. Yeah, so I guess I just tried to make fur to those characters, and then out of that came Fluffy, I guess. I
Did
was,
you ever finish that project?
no. Yeah, like most game developers, we start something and then start working on something else. And like I made this a couple of tweets showing off the fur. I think it was a rabbit running around or like a bear running around, and yeah, those tweets got some traction. Like at
Mhm.
that time, that was the I think it got like 7,000 likes or something, and that was crazy. And a lot of people asked me about the fur, so I thought like, okay, maybe that's something I can start working on. So I just went on from there, and it's been a really fun experience. I also at the time took this compute shader workshop class online by someone called Asralit or something. I don't remember the name, but the compute shader workshop had its last class, I think last month or something. So it's no longer available, but it was a super cool learning experience. So I was so inspired to learn more about compute shaders and like what's the best thing you can do probably with compute shaders is
Mhm.
make a lot of hair, I guess. So yeah,
Oh, awesome!
that's
It's
how Fluffy
certainly,
came to be.
yeah, it's one of the biggest challenges in my experience. Quality hair and fur is just, you know, in all these AAA games, you can tell that they still have problems with fur, you know, and gain realistic fur. One of the other things I noticed, and I'm sure people notice this already, my character here on the screen is rainbow and moving. Throughout the UI of Fluffy, you have these really nice touches that separate your extensions from every single extension I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, like graphics I development, I guess, has always been a passion of mine. So that's something I sort of do for fun. I find it really relaxing doing this over the top, stupid graphics UI stuff, I guess. So
Yeah.
that's why I got this a lot of just fun stuff around in the UI, and that's basically just because I think it's fun to work with, basically. So that's sort of a passion of mine, I guess.
Sure. As a user, I definitely appreciate it. So, all right, well let's dive into the how to get this fluffy horse out of the non-fluffy starter horse we start with. And for anyone watching, don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, if you have any questions, put them in the chat and I will try to keep track of those and ask Daniel those questions as we go along.
Awesome. All right, so we this is sort of the finished scene. So I guess I'll switch over to an empty scene, which has the Pegasus model, which is available on the asset store. So for now, I just like disable the horns, and it has some wings and stuff. So just try to turn it into a basic horse just for demo purposes, I guess. Yeah, so with Fluffy, you can just add fur to meshes in the scene basically. So I'm just selecting the horse mesh here, and then I got this my Fluffy window opened here, and I can just hit the strand preset button.
And these is the nice touches that I've been talking about Mario in the waiting screen.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess I made this tweet on Twitter, some sort of joke or something, and then people kept throwing in all sorts of Unity jokes into the thread, which was really funny. So I just picked out all the jokes people made and put it into the waiting screen here.
That's
So it's
awesome.
really cool. Yeah. All right. So now we got some basic fur setup, which is way too much. I'll actually show you a new feature of Fluffy. Like normally, I just start with masking stuff and just hiding the hairs so it's not on top of the saddle and stuff. But now we have this new feature where you can add a texture mask. So this is going to be released in the coming days. And I can just add a texture mask here, and then in a few seconds where the fur won't be at the places where I painted. So pretty
That's
much
cool.
the way this texture mask works is um, here's from Substance Painter showing the mask. So it's pretty much white where you want the fur to be, and then black where you don't want the fur to be.
What happens if you do gray?
Um, it's gonna it's if it's more than 0.5,
Okay.
so it's a
So
divide
it's
in the
either
middle.
on or off. It's binary.
Yep, either
Perfect.
on or off.
And
Yep,
the for anyone watching, the horse and all my characters do come with the Substance Painter source file. So if you have Painter, you can easily make those.
awesome. All right, so I think I actually, since this is a demo build of Fluffy I'm using right now, the beautiful loader is gone here. So just increase the spacing a bit of the fur, decreased, so the fur is going to be more dense. And then I guess we need to tune the length a bit since horses don't have that long fur. And then we'll just change the normals a bit so they
So, real
actually.
quick, if you're getting confused like I am, there appears to be a phantom mouse moving across the screen. That is
Mhm.
not your mouse. So that mouse cursor that keeps moving is not Daniel's mouse. Daniel's cursor's over the horse right now. I'm
Okay,
not sure why there's a phantom mouse.
that's weird.
Do you think that's the Zoom video thing that makes it so it's a higher quality video by constantly making sure it updates?
Could be.
Do you want to try turning that off real quick? Just because I think people might be, when they're watching this later, not know where you
Could
clicked. I was looking. I was like, wait, how'd you get that? You weren't clicking there.
could be also since we kept changing the resolution just before we went on the stream. So optimize for video, was that the one?
I think so. Try turning that off and see if that works.
Is that better or still?
Video still looks good. Go ahead and move your mouse around. More, yes. I see. Yeah, we see two cursors, but they seem to be following each other. So that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's just go with it, I
Yeah.
guess. Right, so the first thing I usually do is start like brushing the direction of the strands. So I'm enabling the ignore normal slope check button, which is basically works that way that if I paint on this side of the leg, it's gonna paint both sides when this is on. But if
Oh,
it's
okay.
off, it's just gonna like paint the side that's close to the brush.
Okay.
So
And
that's
this is
that's
a
one
bend
important thing.
tool.
Yep. And then we got the mirror mode check button, which basically gives us a second disc on the other side, so I don't have to groom both sides, which is really helpful. Um, that feature really came to be of some feedback that I got. I was doing this beta test of Fluffy before it launched, and
Mm-hmm.
like that was one of the things people really asked about. And like for me, that wasn't important, but I really see the benefit of having that right now, or now after I've started using it. So like the more feedback I get on this product, the better, and the better the product is gonna be. So
And
I
all you're
really
doing
love
here is
it.
just clicking and dragging in the direction you want the hair to bend.
Yeah. So
Wow.
they're just bending in that direction. So, and also one important thing that I use add is a clump modifier. You can add that to your layer. Um, that's gonna add some clumping and make the fur look more natural, basically.
Like a little
And
less uniform.
yeah, so
Someone
like that's
asked a question: what kind of computer specs would you recommend? I mean, obviously, it's calculating things here. Is there any minimum requirement, or is it just some will take longer than others?
it really depends on how you groom your fur. The one we're making right now is uh, gonna demand some real graphics card, I guess. That's also pretty much the reason why you often don't see that much fur in games, since it can be really expensive. So,
Mm-hmm.
and also the way we're making things now is that we're using the strand-based version. It's on a horse. It's a big area that we have to cover. So this is it's pretty much going to be a stress test for the GPU. Um, but of course, it's definitely possible to make this run on mobile. So you just have to pick carefully what kind of rendering technique you use. If you're using car-based rendering or strand-based rendering, and also like the density. So the way I'm doing things now is I'm using strand-based rendering, and I'm really trying to make it look good close up,
Hmm.
right? So that's this is good for really high-end graphics and like filmmaking and stuff, but might not be that good for mobile. I got some videos, tutorials up for how to optimize for mobile. I recommend that you check that one out.
I did
Not
see
only
that the
for
other day.
mobile,
And
but
for everyone, the link to the Fluffy YouTube is in the description.
yeah, cool.
So you did a clump mask. What does clump mask that tool do?
That is like you can paint the intensity of the clump. So like uh, at first when I added the clump, you saw that it was really clumpy all over.
Yeah.
And now I'm just sort of painting in the areas that I want the clumping to be on. So because it like clumping all over, it doesn't look natural at all. And now I just tune the clumping of it so they're even smaller. So like if I just for demo purposes, I've set the clumping intensity to 1, so it's gonna be really lumpy, clumpy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can turn it like just paint in the areas that I want the clumps to be on, I guess.
That's great.
And then like I was thinking for this demo, I was gonna make Icelandic horse. Have you seen those?
I think
They got this
so.
really
In
really fur.
yeah,
So
I don't know if it's
like
Icelandic, but
those,
I was only thinking of there you go, of the Disney movie Frozen. There
yeah,
you go.
frozen, yeah. Like there's some really like furry horses. So I guess since we're using Fluffy, I guess we have to go for something like that. Otherwise, like for the short-haired horses you normally see, you probably don't need to use Fluffy for it at all, I guess. All right, so the in the face, we probably don't want it to be this long.
And are you
Um,
like holding down like shift or something to go between adding and removing?
yeah, like to change the size of the brush, I'm clicking Control on Windows or Command on Mac, and then sliding with
Hmm.
left mouse button. So the shortcuts are here, so
Nice.
you can change the pretty much the brush settings with all of these. So if you hold Shift, left mouse button is going to be opacity of the brush, like how intense the painting is going to be, and then you have the brush fall off, which is pretty much the inner circle. So it's sort of the gradient from the middle out to the tip.
Hmm.
So like if you change this, it's like this. It's gonna be really like a intense at the middle, and then really not much at the tip,
And
and
faded
then
between the
it,
two,
yeah, faded basically. And then this is gonna be like really intense all over, I guess.
like a hard circle.
Yeah, hard circle. So I guess that people are used to this from Photoshop and like whatnot,
Hmm.
from other tools. And then yeah, let's change the length up a little bit here. Like around the nose, it's probably really short. Whoops, even shorter. And since I used the mask texture, like this one that we added earlier, I'm not
Hmm.
getting any fur inside of the mouth and places that I don't want it to be at.
Nice. I do like that feature, by the way. Now,
Yeah.
in if in a shipped build using Fluffy, losing this horse, is the mask texture included? Does that take up any of the memory during runtime?
Um, is it? No, it's not. That's it depends. Like if when you're finished with the groom,
Hmm.
I recommend that you hit this button, export groom. That's gonna export it to a file, and then optimize things like remove all the things that you used for grooming and stuff, and make prepare it for release. Sort of, it's sort of like when you use Pro Builder for those of you that use that, and then export the mesh and like finish up and remove all the Pro Builder scripts and stuff.
Perfect. Okay.
So yeah,
Makes sense.
that's it's recommended to use that one. Export groom to file at the end, or to skin mesh if you want to use a mesh. It's also possible. All right, so basically we got this. I think this looks pretty good. We could of course keep tweaking this, but we're live here. We have to move on. So we got one new feature that's coming out next week is that you can name the layers. It's not a big
Nice.
feature, but it's been requested by a couple of users. So we can call this layer horse body, I guess. And then we can add a new layer, which we will use to create the main. Is that what it's called in English as well?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so we'll make a main for the horse. So we got a new layer coming up, which is all over. So again, we could have just started masking to to only show it up here, but I've prepared the texture luckily, so we don't have to wait for
Nice.
that, which is pretty much black all over and then just a white strip up here. So now we only have fur up there.
And the color of the fur comes from the diffused texture?
Yes, it does. So the fur renderer has a material slot or a field where you can assign a material. And so since Fluffy sort of just copies the material of the base mesh and just adds that to the base color. And you can, of course, add whatever you like there and just tune the material however you like. Yeah.
Nice. And we should point out that Fluffy works in all the pipelines, not just HDRP, also works in the built-in and URP.
Yep. That was hard to get it working all over, but I mean, like one of my favorite pipelines to use it in is URP, because just the performance there is just really really good. And also it's easier to make custom shaders there, so I've like been able to tune the shaders just the way I like them with the Marshner shader and yeah, but like it has its problems as well with just like shadowing and stuff doesn't look as good as with HDRP. So but it's definitely a good option if you want to use that.
Yeah.
All right, so what I just did here is I increased subdivisions of the hairs a bit, since the main hairs are going to be a bit longer. So
and that's going to be like number of potential pivot points.
Yeah, like how many pivot points basically, and also yeah, for physics it's also important to have enough points so that the physics get accurate enough, but again it's going to make things a bit heavier. All right, so we got this mohawk kind of look going on here. Nice. I added a clump modifier. I guess I'll tune this down a bit. Then we can start painting some clump mask just to get some variation in there.
So now, when you paint, do you paint on the base, or can you paint the tips and have a different effect? The tips of the hair strands?
You can only paint the base mesh at the current state of Fluffy.
Okay.
I am currently working on a spline-based version, which is going to be great for long hair and so on. So then you can, in that version, you'll be able to paint the actual hairs. That's actually one of the shortcomings of Fluffy right now. It's not really good for long hairs, and this is like it's really at the pain point of how long it can be in order to get good results. But I'll show you a way to get good results also for long hair afterwards when we start working on the tail.
Perfect.
All right, so just moving the hairs a bit to the side. All right, and then maybe increase the width a bit.
Oh, wow.
So now it's starting to look like a horse, and I guess we're just missing the tail. And like I said, just said, it can be a bit tricky to get long hairs working with Fluffy in the editor here. But luckily we have an option for that as well. But then you'll have to use a third-party app, which is basically the option to import alembic splines from grooms into Unity. That feature is currently in beta, so it might work, but it might also not work.
Okay.
But in my
So
experience, it's been working pretty well.
related to that, I'm not sure of the tech itself, but somebody's asking if you'll include a fiber mesh curves importer for ZBrush at some point.
Fiber mesh curves importer. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it's ZBrush's hair fur tool, maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that ZBrush has the option to export as an alembic file, which is the standard file format for hair. That's also the format that Unreal Engine uses. So like if you wanna if Unreal supports it, then this Fluffy is also gonna support it. So that's
Nice.
pretty good. So it's really nice. Like you can go on stores somewhere like TurboSquid or like CG Trader, or just buy hairs that are meant for Unreal, basically, and then you can use it in Fluffy as well. So the way this works, you create a description, then you go to cache and export as cache, and then pretty much export as an alembic file. So like if Unity supports hairs in the future, I imagine they're gonna use the same approach. And then, but I've also already exported it to Unity. So I got this file here, which is an alembic file, and then we can apply that to our model. So let's see. The way this works, you go to Tools, Fluffy Grooming Tool, and Alembic Groom Setup. We're in beta, so there's a big beta screen. But the things, this is pretty much the skinning screen of Fluffy. So you can sort of skin the tail that we just created to the base mesh here. So I'll just assign the Pegasus. It's pink since it's set up, or the materials are currently set up for built-in. And then we need to assign the tail. So now we see a gray preview of the tail. The black one that we see here is actually the one that comes with the model, which is also pretty good. So yeah, but now we're just showcasing Fluffy, so I just hidden the one that, yeah. So let's see. Next thing we need to do is to select which of the meshes here we want to skin it to. So in our case, it's the horse. Yep. So you have to just pick the right mesh to skin it to, and then build here prefab. And then we'll save a hair container, which pretty much contains the rendering information for Fluffy. So yeah, let's just call this horse hair container live. And then we see that we have this pink horse, and we also have the tail. It's a bit
Someone's
thin.
asked if you are assigning one bone or a bone chain.
to
I think in
and
relation to the
assigning.
Olympic hair.
Oh yeah, to the skinning is actually doesn't care about the bones at all because it's using barycentric coordinates. So it's taking the normal of the mesh, and then it takes the direction vector of where like the point is gonna be, and then it takes the distance to that point. So every frame we check the normal, we get the distance and the like the direction from the normal. So that's how it's skinned at runtime.
Okay.
So that's actually I think it's cheaper than skinning with actual bones. If you export to a mesh, then you're gonna get bones. But yeah, so that's the way it works at the moment. So the benefit of that is that it works with blend shapes and whatnot. It doesn't really, you don't need the bones for it to work. You can also add it to a cloth, for instance. That's just like manipulating the mesh, and yeah, so it works with any kind of mesh. That's like the benefit. So okay, so we got the Pegasus, the pink one. We don't really need that, but what we need is the hair renderer that it got assigned. So I'll just copy component, delete, and then I'll paste the components. Now we have a tail here as well. And then I guess we need to change the color a bit. Now we got the hair renderer down here, but it's completely white. So let's change the color to something similar as the main. Yeah, so I guess that's it.
Wow.
And I guess now that would be to actually start tuning the physics, like the in-game, how things work in-game.
And this is like physics, how it deals with wind
Yeah,
and
but
motion.
then just how it moves, how stiff everything is, and so on. I don't know if you guys get this, but I keep getting the video. Oh yeah, I can move it. Great. All right, so got all sorts of things that we can, like this, the settings we used here is that's only things that you can use at not at runtime. So you'll have to like prepare it before you export the game. But everything you got on the hair renderer, that's things you can change at runtime. Like you can change the width of the hair strands, and you can change the movement, how it moves. So I guess for the tail, we'll tune down the stiffness a little bit to just make it flop around. And the drag, that's pretty much the easing of the how much it moves.
So
Like
lower means it moves less.
No, lower means it moves really fast.
Okay.
And a high value is like really really high easing, so like almost underwater kind of feel.
Okay.
And this is like super springy, I guess. So something like that. And then so that was for the tail. And then we'll go up to the fur renderer and change some settings here. I got some requests last week to be able to individually change the movement parameters for each layer. which I see now is really helpful. Like for the mane, we probably want it to be really movable, but for the body that's really short, we kind of want it to be stiff.
Makes
so
sense.
to yeah, that's not out yet. It's going to be released next week as well. So you just have to enable this check button, and then for the body, we actually don't want it to be movable at all, I think, since it's so short.
Yeah.
And for the mane, which is called layer 2, we can probably make it a bit more movable. And yeah, I guess let's just hit play and see what happens.
And this does require 2021.2 and greater. That's another one thing to keep in mind.
Yep. So the reason why it requires that is because they enable this super amazing new feature in that version. That's that you can write directly to the graphics buffer of a mesh, which means that you can pretty much write directly to a mesh from a compute shader. Compute shaders are crazy fast, like they can just do so insanely much in like one frame, like do simulations, build a whole mesh, whatever, and you can write that directly each frame. So that's what I'm doing with Fluffy, basically.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's super cool that they opened that up. That's like, I never imagined any other game engine like enabling that. So just big thumbs up to the guys that did that. Yeah, so no, let's try moving the horse around a bit. That's what it looks like now. Yeah, so I guess that looks pretty good already. And then one important thing is probably we've tuned the movement, we've tuned the normals, and then there's colliders. So Fluffy has real-time mesh colliders that run every frame, which are pretty much SDF colliders, if you're familiar with that, like sign distance field colliders. So it creates a sign distance field of the mesh at runtime, and then it collides with it. So I'm just gonna increase the resolution here to make it more precise. Like a lower value here is faster, higher value is lower, but the high value is more precise. So it's a trade-off you're gonna have to make. And then you can change the collider skin width. Like you see that it's pushing the mane up. So I guess since we have fur here, we probably want the mane to be pushed a little bit above. See now that it's pushed above the hairs, like the body fur. Yeah, that's also something that you can play around with, I guess. Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much what I was planning to show.
Wow. And then how do you you said there was an export to get it ready to be used in the game itself in a project with in runtime and all that?
Yep.
Like if we go to the other horse, because I want to include, of course, the presets in the horse pack. So if you get Fluffy and you have the horse, you'll be able to use this out of the box.
Yep. So in order to do that, we can just do it with this one, I guess.
Which one do you like better, this one or the other one that you've made previously?
I don't know, probably the other one.
Then let's do it with the other one.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Just saving this.
Corey in the chat is asking about long hair. Long hair is currently in the process of being worked on, right? An update that will allow longer hair.
Yeah. So I've just been focusing on short hair for the release version, and then next thing is gonna be like long hair, and yeah.
Perfect.
So for now, you have to use another third-party app and just import it from there. Later on, we'll have the option to do it with Fluffy as well.
Perfect.
So, but currently, I'm just testing all sorts of different solutions. If you have something, one hair solution or a hair app that you really like, send me a message and I'll check it out. Currently, I'm looking at Ornatrix, or what it's called, which looks really nice. Yeah, so I guess to export, just select the render that you got and then export groom to file. So you get this message here saying that it's been optimized. And then horse fur container. Just have to move it since there's, whoops, some stuff in the way. Save. So now I've saved the fur container, which is going to be used at runtime. And then we also get a question if we want to save the groom container as well. And the groom container is used by Fluffy in order to be able to groom. So if you want to make changes to this later on, you have to save this one as well. Just so it's sort of like, okay, you got this mesh, you want to change it, but you need some extra information to be able to change it, sort of. So
Sure.
this won't be included when you export the app, but it's just good to have the saved for later on, I guess.
Plus, you might want to make a second fur container without the saddle masked off so that the horse can have full hair too.
Exactly. So the way this works now we've exported the fur container, and then, like you said, we probably want to make a new fur container without the saddle, and then we can export that. And then the way you'd use it at runtime is you can just replace the fur container of your fur renderer. So right now it's got the horse fur container, but we could have made another one which is horse fur container without saddle, and then you can just replace that one. And so it's similar to just replacing a mesh of a mesh render.
And so the fur render component here, that's a Fluffy component. So somebody, like the Minotaur is an example. The Minotaur has a fur container in it. You'd bring in the Minotaur, add in a fur renderer, and then bring that container over, and you're all set?
Yep.
Wow.
So just add the fur renderer, slap on the fur container, and it's good. So
that's
it's
amazing.
The way I designed this is just similar to a skin mesh render or a mesh render. It actually uses a mesh render, or a mesh render behind this one. It's just hidden from the user, and so that's the way it works.
And the colors are we talked earlier from the texture. Is it possible to change the colors in addition to that? Like if we wanted to make this a pink, or put, like, I don't know, make the feet blue but the rest stay as is?
Yeah, that sounds very cool. Let's do that. So since I just exported this, it's telling me that we no longer have the rendering information attached to this game object, but I can hit enable grooming. So now it's gonna load the groom container that we just saved additionally. So now we can continue grooming. That's good. And then to change the colors, we can. What did you say? Blue feet?
Yeah, or maybe we can make it pink and put on the unicorn horn so we get a proper unicorn.
Okay, let's see. Pink, normal slope, mirror mode. Nice.
Oh, nice.
All right, and then we need a unicorn horn. Yes.
Yeah.
And
you can make the mane cool. White.
Mane white. All right.
Yeah. And so you could blend different colors, and really, I mean, if you got that bent, you could make a nice. There you go. So you could do a lot with this.
Yeah. So the only limitation is that you'll have to use material that supports vertex colors.
Okay.
But all the fluffy hair materials support that, so we're all nice. Good in that department, I guess.
And of course, I mean, if we were gonna make a pink unicorn, we probably would change the diffuse texture in Painter first, so you don't get you'd have pink underneath.
Yeah, of course.
You can augment the colors and other thing. Maybe make it have gray hair that wasn't in the mesh.
Yeah. So yeah, so this is one way of changing it, but you always change the diffuse color of the material. There's all sorts of other settings here, like the smoothness, specularity.
And those are part of the HDRP shader, right?
Yeah.
So if we are we able to turn off all the colors, and then can we see what happens when we change the base color map to the other textures that come with the horse?
Yeah. So let's see, let's turn off the colors first. So to do that, we just take the override amount down to 0, and then I probably want to do it here as well on the main.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we're back to the normal colors, and then we probably have some other colors here as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have which one do you like?
Any of them. Just drag one in. I'm just curious what happens. Black. This is the nightmare look. So the black.
Yeah, the black. Okay. So right now we just changed the fur material. So we probably want to do it to the material that's used on the base mesh as well. Nice. So now we got a black horse. What else do we have here?
I think number 2 is kind of a spotted horse.
Spotted? All right, sounds good. Let's go with that. Oh, cool.
Wow, yeah, look at that.
Like really prairie.
Now I need to make a cow.
Yeah.
Now we need to make all the farm animals. Will this support wool? Like if we make a sheep or super curly hair?
Yeah, I guess so. But then that's gonna be a bit heavier to render because you'll have to depend on a high subdivision count. But we can try. Let's like turn this up to 14 subdivisions, 15 maybe.
So not all of these can be done at runtime. The hair will need to be pre-saved. So if you want to make a fur for each of these texture sets, the 4 texture sets, you'd need to make 4 different containers. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
No,
How heavy?
like the materials can be changed. So to just like the colors, you can just replace the material.
Oh, so
That
that can be
was
done at runtime?
yeah. So that's pretty much just like the fur container is just how the shape of the fur is, but you can of course replace the material up here. So you
Okay.
can just drag in whatever material you like, and then looks like we actually have too many polygons on the horse now. So
So I guess,
maybe,
Corey, the answer is yes, you can do those modifications at runtime.
yep,
That's
you
really
can
cool.
change the material at runtime. You can also change the shape of the fur at runtime. So pretty much everything at runtime, you just have to probably prepare the fur containers first.
Perfect.
So that's like the most the main settings are up here: material, fur container. That's what I imagine people are gonna like change most frequently at runtime.
Hmm.
And then you got the motion settings, normals, colliders, and LOD settings and whatnot. So yeah.
Wow. Excellent. Well, this is great. Are there any other tips that you want to show off before we end?
Um, Not that I can think of. I think I've shown most of the things. Of course, if you're actually using this in a game that requires high performance, tune down the or increase the hair strand spacing, and then maybe increase the width of the strands a bit, since like if the camera's this far away from the animal, you're not going to see the strands anyway.
Hmm.
So all sorts of things you can do if you're making a cut scene where the camera's here. You can probably use this groom. Yeah, so all sorts of different trade-offs you're gonna have to do to get the best performance. So I just recommend checking out the mobile performance video I've posted on YouTube to
Yep.
get the
And
best
again, the link
performance.
to his YouTube is in the description below.
Awesome.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Daniel. So Daniel's going to send me the container or everything I need to add to the package. I will be uploading the package shortly after I get that. So if you do have Fluffy and you do get the horse, then you can have your own Fluffy horse that you can ride around and brush with a brush, and then you can build the next the horse. Why am I forgetting the word all of a sudden? Simulator, and become rich. And you're welcome. We'll take a cut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good.
And somebody did ask about the LOD setting. You mentioned the LOD settings. Can you explain
Yep.
how that works real quick?
Yeah, just quickly, you have three LODs. So the first one, you can like set how many strands you're gonna skip when you're drawing. Or no, it's a bit hard to explain. It draw every third strand is what it's set to now. So
Okay.
uh, this is gonna draw every strand. This is gonna draw every second strand, every third strand, and so on. And then like if you set the draw every 10 strands, there's going to be way fewer strands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you probably have to increase the width of the strands. So like far away, you're going to get fewer strands, but the strands are going to be wider. So it'll look pretty similar.
If you zoom out in the scene view, does that get triggered?
Not right now, but we can turn it on. You have to enable LOD in edit mode. And then let's see. So we have the LOD start distance at 5 meters. Yeah, so there you
Okay, so
see
you can
that
see it
it's,
there.
yeah, there you see the small flicker.
Nice.
It changes the LOD settings. Right
And
now
really, I
it's
mean,
pretty,
from that distance, aside from the flicker, you can't really tell that it's different from that
yeah,
distance.
exactly. And this is like drawing every 10th strand. Yeah, of course you have to tweak it a bit. And
Yeah. Excellent. Well, cool. Thank you for sharing this. Everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to click below. Go over to Daniel's YouTube and like and subscribe there. There's a whole bunch of videos. I've been watching them as they pop up. Unity, or not Unity, YouTube shows me every video you make, I think. So I've been watching them. And the mobile one in particular, I think, is helpful because this Fluffy does work on mobile. And I think that's a key takeaway here because I know a lot of people are working in mobile games and you want fur. Fluffy's a solution for that. So, great. Daniel, thanks for joining me. Everybody, don't forget the Black Friday sale starts tonight. Fluffy's not in the Black Friday sale. It's brand new. So, there you go. But it's underpriced in my opinion. I thought it was going to be higher, so you never know what the future holds. Who knows? We're not going to look for secrets, but there we go. So Daniel, thank you for joining me, and everybody have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.